Well, that's all of our vendors, all of our partners. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to share all your great information with our students. So now I'd like to move on to talking about our program. Accounting is a skill for life, and you're going to learn a whole lot more about that through the speakers that we have today. So I know I have introduced myself before, but I am Lynn Clark. I am a CPA, and I'm the lead accounting faculty at Paradise Valley Community College. Today we're here to introduce our accounting programs at Maricopa Community Colleges, and we have an associate's degree, an Associates of Applied Science in Accounting. We have a certificate of completion in accounting and a certificate of completion in enrolled agent. Our degree and certificates with our degree and certificates in accounting, you can begin working in high demand entry-level positions. Accounting positions offer flexibility. Many entry-level positions can be virtual and offer flexible hours, and even earn greater than minimum wage. The more experience you gain, the greater the opportunities are. We are not only excited about the career paths an accounting degree offers, but also your personal education while learning fundamental concepts of accounting. Many people think that accounting is limited to numbers and that you must be exceptional in math to pursue accounting. There is a small element of truth to that, but since we're performing simple mathematical problems, accounting is much more about collecting information for decision making. In your courses, you will be exposed to preparing financial statements, recording business transactions, and tracking financial performance. Scholars refer to accounting as the language of business, and when a manager wants to know how the business is performing, they ask for financial reports from their accountant, and it's the accountant that helps in the decision making. I'd like to now introduce Lily Davidoff from Rio Salado College. Take it away, Lily.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Hi, everybody. Welcome, colleagues, students, alumni, partners, and just friendly audience. I am Dr. Lily Davidoff. As I introduced myself before, I am a faculty chair at Rio Salado College, and I want to talk a little bit more about our wonderful programs that we have here at Maricopa Community College. Maricopa Community College's accounting faculty members, they bring education, personal experience, and current research in the classroom. And combined with that high level of instructions and current experience, they also add individual touch to help students to learn the challenging areas of accounting. Our program prepares students to enter rapidly growing field in accounting as clerk, auditors, junior accountants who perform a variety of different calculations and verifications. As you progress through the program, you will learn about cost accounting, budgeting, problem solving, decision making, planning with financial and managerial accounting, technological perspectives. As you gain experience working in your chosen field, you also might want to continue your education and become certified as a certified bookkeeper, as an enrolled agent, as a certified payroll professional. Having industry highly recognized certificate will expand your horizon with potential employees and highly increase your validity and your knowledge and skills. Many of our students gain their valuable credentials and work in a field while pursuing their bachelor's degree and go on to become CPA. While working, students also have accounting jobs and they're pursuing their education and then gaining that valuable experience that Julie was talking about with VITA. Our accounting program provides you with necessary education, skills, and work experience in the dynamic and growing field. Starting at Maricopa Community College will provide you with foundation in accounting where you can springboard in a successful career and choose your own path. Accounting is a skillful life.
Sorry, I missed that. I didn't unmute in time.
Let's do that together.
We were supposed to do that. All right, let's do it again. Ready? Accounting is a skill for life.
We're very excited about this, as you can see. And next, I want to share a video with you of a wonderful video that we created for our beautiful accounting program. We can't hear it. Oh no, it's not happening. Okay, now we can hear it.
Awesome. I just love that video. I've watched it like 15 times and I still really enjoy it. So next, what we'd like to show you is, as you know, I'm from Paradise Valley Community College. You can't see my shirt, but we'd like to share a video that shows you a little bit about Paradise Valley Community College and what it's like to be a student there.
It's always been my goal to be a student athlete,
an engineer,
a firefighter,
a nurse.
And now I'm making astronomy happen.
I'm making business happen.
I'm making my goals happen at Paradise Valley Community College.
And next, Lily will present what it is like to be a student at Rio Salado College.
A nurse.
And now.
All right, so this video does not have a sound, so pay attention, and then I will highlight what Rio is very unique for. Our classes start every Monday. You can choose from 600 plus online classes and 130 programs. You can take advantage of your flexible dates and flexible schedule. You can take classes anywhere at any time. Rio is truly an amazing place to be because we're just wonderful people, and we have, as the video highlighted, many interesting programs, and you can choose from 130 programs. And next, I want to introduce your biggest supporter, our interim president of Rio Salado College, Kate Smith.
Thank you so much, Dr. Davidoff. Greatly appreciate that, and welcome everyone. I'm very excited to be here with you in recognition of International Accounting Day. I think that's really great that we can all be together. And I really want to commend you for investing in your future. And certainly, as you have heard, and Lynn and Lily, you made it unforgettable for me that it is a skill for life. So with that, let me just give a special thanks to the faculty, alumni, staff, and presenters who are providing this opportunity for all of us to be here tonight. So I don't really see the thumbs up and the claps down here. If you can do it, otherwise Lynn and Lily and all of you who started this off, thank you, thank you, thank you from all of us who are attending. Okay, so I just have a few quick tidbits that I want to share with you all that I found interesting. I hope you will as well. First of all, the future of accounting careers is very bright. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, it is anticipated that career opportunities in accounting will grow by 10% by 2026. So there is a lot of opportunity for you. And as technology continues to advance, your role is in accounting and as accountants is going to be to provide that critical analysis to aid in decision making. And I'm quite sure the next, some of my colleagues who you're also going to meet tonight will back me up in telling you just how vitally important it is for any business and enterprise to have that critical analysis that comes from those in the accounting field. Okay, also interesting, did you know that the first recorded name in history belonged to an accountant? You can see it on the screen. Over 5,000 years ago, this was recorded. A total of 29,086 measures of barley were received over the course of 37 months, signed Kashim. So that is your first recorded name in history. Also interesting, in the 15th century, Italian mathematician and Franciscan friar, and the person who would be later known as the father of accounting and bookkeeping, Luca Pacioli, described the double entry accounting method in one of several published works, which Lily and Lynn, correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but I understand transformed business accounting practices around the world and is still in practice today. And then, thanks to the Industrial Revolution era of the mid-19th century, slide please, the accounting field grew exponentially. Collecting and analyzing data is critical in making informed decisions in every kind of business enterprise. We cannot tell you that enough, and we cannot stress that enough as you consider going into the accounting field. Okay, so next slide. What do these three have in common? So you might recognize Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger. Perhaps you recognize pop star Janet Jackson and saxophonist Kenny G. I wish I could see you all. I'm hoping you're shouting out the answer. Yes, they all studied accounting before they began their music careers. Or perhaps you have an interest in solving crimes. So you may have heard of Chicago's most notorious crime boss, Al Capone. Al Capone was not brought down because of murder. It wasn't racketeering, and it wasn't bootlegging during the Prohibition era that brought him down. It was a team of accounting special agents who captured Capone for tax evasion. So perhaps a future career? You might join the over 2,000 FBI forensic accounting special agents out there. So the truth is, there are many, many opportunities in accounting. The possibilities really are endless. If you study accounting, as they said, it is a skill for life, and your opportunities will just continue to grow. What you're seeing here is I did a Google search. I think it was either Indeed or Glassdoor. I was on both of them. And I just typed in jobs or fields that are hiring for accountants. And these are just some of them that came up. Janine, I'm not sure if the next slide has more of them or somehow they got, nope. But those were just some of the ones that I found in that quick search. So the fields where accountants are sought out could be the arts, fashion. Starting your own business is certainly fundamental to being successful with your own business. So I'm not going to talk about the next slide because this was already covered at the beginning, but the Maricopa programs that we offer, certainly we would love to welcome you into any one of those programs. And if you can go to the next slide, thank you, Janine. So with that, I think I'm just going to wrap it up to again say thank you for being here. Thank you for exploring fields in accounting, or even if you see this as a beginning place, you certainly have seen some examples of where accounting and studying accounting and the skills you learn, especially those deep analytical skills you learn, will help you be successful wherever you go. whatever you want to end up doing. I am here, and I want to quote Andy in, we want you to know that we know you can do this. You can do whatever you set your mind to, and we are here to support you all the way. And with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce my colleague, Vice President of Administrative Services, Michelle Gates. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Kate, and good afternoon. My name is Michelle Gates, and I'm the Vice President for Administrative Services at Salado College, and I'm very excited to be here for International Accounting Day. I've been asked to, next slide please, I've been asked to go over my experience and how accounting fits into my background and my career path in finance and as a Chief Financial Officer. Next slide, please. I'm just going to use this next slide as a backdrop for discussion. These are some of the jobs that I have held over my 20 plus years in finance. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit and then provide some real life examples for you on how I've applied accounting to my financial career. Very briefly, I'm a finance professional with more than 20 years of experience, and much of this has been in higher education. I've held university-wide college leadership roles as Chief Budget and Planning Officer, Chief Finance Officer, and Chief Administrative Officer. And I've worked at institutions from large research, public and private universities to private colleges, and now public community college. And this job and this work has taken me around the globe and around the country. And my business education and my accounting have supported all of these opportunities that I've been involved in. So I'd say two of the consistent themes in my career are financial management, planning and strategy, and business operations efficiency. And the common thread throughout my career in finance, which I use to focus on financial activities to support long-range planning and business operations, accounting supports this by focusing on that day-to-day tracking of information and the money flow. Accounting is key to understanding the business operations. It's crucial to the financial management and planning. And for me, as a business leader, I rely on strong accounting information for this decision support, and it needs to be accurate and timely. So it plays a very important role. It's a foundation to business management, and it communicates the financial position of the company at any time. And I use accounting information for analysis on expenditures and revenues on a daily basis for managing financial activity and for looking for ways to be more efficient in managing the business and saving money for us. I just would like to provide two very real life examples on how I've applied my business education in finance and accounting to my career that I thought you might find interesting. My first example is about financial management and planning. When I was at Columbia College Chicago, I was the Chief Financial Officer and Vice President for Administration and Finance. I arrived there after multiple years of declining enrollment, and there was a significant gap in the revenues and expenses. So I defined strategies and ways to stabilize the finances while I ensured that we had money to invest in strategic priorities for education, for student experience, and for operations. So I used multiple financial strategies to assess the operations and organizations, to identify efficiencies and cost savings, to execute reorganizations. I identified things such as early retirement, which saved more than $10 million. I restructured debt to bring down expenses, saving $1.5 million a year and more than $8 million over the life of those bonds. Another example of real life is that I've applied this accounting information and to a lot of analysis. In this particular case, it was for a building renovation project that I was overseeing at Emerson College in Boston, where I was the Senior Associate Vice President for Finance. The challenge there was that we had a student life residence hall that needed renovations, but it had to close for more than 2 years for those renovations. But it was our largest residence hall, and this was going to have significant revenue and student impact. So we needed to find ways to mitigate the revenue loss and also the impact on the students. And then in the end, our goal was to actually increase the number of rooms that we would end up and the long-term revenue flow for us. So I was in charge of developing capital planning scenarios. And really this was to identify solutions. I modeled the financial and accounting information. I brought this information into database and developed models where I developed scenarios for the chief financial officer and the board of trustees. I looked at things that you'll be very familiar with in accounting. I looked at revenue increases or decreases, the losses and gains. I looked at cash flow for the impact, and I looked at over the number of years. I had to forecast out what the scenario impact would be. I looked at financing options for debt, for the cost of debt, the debt capacity, what sort of gift contributions from individuals and corporations we would need to offset and to be able to construct. I worked with the contractors on contracting costs. I had to look at room rates, square footage, and then I had to project these things for future value and current value, present value impact. We developed over 100 scenarios over almost 2 years for the CFO that we vetted before we took to the board of trustees and before we found a solution. And the reason I give you those examples is that accounting is really the foundation for a lot of work and a lot of different business and career opportunities, as others have pointed out. For me, it's been key to financial management, planning, and strategy, and to overall business operations. And it's been a key to my success as a finance professional. So I would just like to wish all of you great success in your pursuits in accounting and in business education, and for all the different opportunities that this will provide you in your career. So I think just to close out, I've been asked to let you know that you can put questions in chat if you have them, and that we're going to move on to the next phase. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, President Smith and Vice President Gates. Next, I would love to take the opportunity to introduce the President of Paradise Valley Community College, Dr. Paul Dale.
Thank you, Lynn, and it's a pleasure for me to join everyone today. Certainly appreciate the good work and the energy. Typically, accounting faculty are stereotyped as being quiet and businesslike, but I'm just so amazed by the energy, and my deepest thanks to Professor Clark and Professors Davidoff in terms of your passion and your commitment to really communicate the importance of accounting. It's my pleasure to serve as Paradise Valley Community College President, and I share that with you because I can't tell you how much in a leadership role I rely on the good thinking and the acumen of the accountants who work not only with Paradise Valley Community College, but also work with our system. So clearly it is a skill set and a business set that we find to be extremely helpful and beneficial. I want to give a quick shout out to students and thank you for your early exploration, as been noted by a number of previous speakers. Now's the time to engage in that exploration process. Now's the time to get out and do things like the VITA volunteer experience, participate in internships or externships to really give you a better sense of what the accounting field is like. At Paradise Valley Community College and at Rio Salado College, we're committed through our guided pathways programs to make sure that you have a really good, smooth career map and an academic map. So I would encourage you to take advantage of all the opportunities provided to you through our fields of interest. As been mentioned several times, both from our university partners and from our faculty you've heard today, the importance of the role of accounting. And again, I think sometimes accounting gets stereotyped as kind of that backroom crunchy numbers, but I can tell you again, as college president, I rely on the accounting profession to help me develop policy, how to run the college, how to develop a strategic plan. I rely on accountants and that accounting perspective. We actually use accounting methods, sometimes in doing performance evaluation for employees, and clearly around the whole cost control, especially during tight budget time. So I can tell you even from my seat how important the role of accounting is. I also wanted to pick up on a couple other themes that were shared earlier today in terms of the wide open opportunities for accounting outside of the business profession. I serve on a number of nonprofit boards, and again, where finances are limited, I can't tell you how important typically we have an accountant who serves as a board member as well, how important that skill set is to help small nonprofits be successful. As my colleague President Smith said, in terms of the fine and performing arts, so there's all kinds of opportunities outside of business that can create a tremendous career for you in accounting. The other thing I wanted to touch on too about accounting, I view many of our subject matters that we look at as a means to a greater end. And the gift I think that the Maricopa Community Colleges provide you is this ability to be a lifelong learner. And clearly, whatever profession you go into, it doesn't stop when you get your degree or certificate or you transfer on to the university. So I want to just encourage you as students to really focus on 3 learning opportunities while you're with the Maricopa College. I want you to become not only a critical thinker, and you've heard a little bit about the analysis, synthesis, kinds of skills that are required to be an accountant, but I also want to encourage you to be a creative thinker. Business success in any occupation requires that ability to, if you will, think outside of the box and to think in new and different ways. And especially with in the business profession, is we really want you to also be a creative thinker. And then thirdly, not only to be a critical thinker and a creative thinker, but I want you to also be an entrepreneurial thinker. The successful employee, whatever field you're in, whether that's in education or whether that's in business, you have to really, in this day and age, with the changing economy, with the pandemic, with all kinds of changing demographics, is that you really also have to be an entrepreneurial thinker. So as you go through your program, I would encourage you to add some extra tools to your toolbox. We have some wonderful courses in entrepreneurialism and entrepreneurial thinking. I can pretty much guarantee that you will be much more successful if you develop that third critical thinking, critical, creative, and entrepreneurial thinking to really round out your skill in a leadership role. So with that, I can tell you that, again, as a college president, I rely a lot on the critical thinking skills of the accountants who work with me and support the nonprofits I work with. So I wish you all well. And the last thing I'll say to you, and then I'll hand it off to my colleague as well, is the other thing that we found that as you navigate through community colleges is that oftentimes you're hesitant to raise your hand and say, hey, I need some help. And I just want to assure all of you that all of us, faculty, staff, peer mentors, peer leaders are here to help support you and be successful. So please take advantage of that support. It is my belief that all students can be successful, and especially in the accounting field, and I know that Professor Clark reminds me of this often, is that students will rise to levels of expectation. So I know it's a challenging field, but just keep that in mind, that we're here to help you and that the expectations will help you kind of do the very best you can. So again, I wish you all the best of luck. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce my colleague, our Dean of Career and Technical Education at Paradise Valley Community College, Christiane Nuesma. So Christiane, it's yours.
Hello. So yes, welcome. I am the Dean of Career and Technical Education, which means I work with programs that don't necessarily have intention of transferring onto university, that you can graduate, complete some time with us on our campus and head on out into the workforce. So one of the things that I do when folks come and say, we're interested in starting a new program, is I go look at some information and see, is this something that we want students to go into, or we'll be setting them up for not good future. So what you've got here is some information that I've gathered, and President Smith alluded to this as well, that there's a really good career outlook for folks in accounting. So this is some information from a group called Burning Glass, and they look at basically job postings around the nation and analyze job postings to help folks understand how certain careers are faring out in the marketplace. So I looked up for the Phoenix, Scottsdale, Mesa area, this field of accounting, tax preparation, bookkeeping, and payroll services. So in the last 12 months in this area, we've had over 3,000 job postings in that particular area. And what I want you to look at right down there, that bottom little arrow, the projected growth, and again, Dr. Smith, thank you. I love it. I'm not even doing that. It's moving around. What Dr. Smith referred to, projected job growth in our area, in the Phoenix area, of almost 12% in this field. Those other numbers, they're just kind of interesting. Unemployment rate isn't that bad in this particular area, and that location quotient basically means in our area, we kind of have an average concentration of accounts. This is not like an area where there's bazillions of accounts compared to everybody else. It's kind of an average concentration of accounts in our area. But that job growth thing, really exciting. Next slide, if you don't mind. Okay, so here it lays out, again, these are job postings, the education requirements that they're seeing from those 3,000 something job postings that we saw. And you'll see they have 30-something% there that are requiring, it says high school there. By high school, they mean high school and some kind of certification above high school, not necessarily an associate's degree yet. So you'll see already, just with some of the certification, the certificates that folks have alluded to, already almost 30% of the jobs, that's sufficient. And then another 66% of the jobs are requesting bachelor's degrees. There's not a huge demand for higher than that. And there you've got your median salary, again, for all these jobs in the last year of $50-something thousand. On the next page, if you don't mind. Thank you. It shows the income, again, the kind of the job postings, what they're saying the salary ranges based on education. So you'll see that that first one, I guess, says high school or vocational training. That would be high school, and then those certificates before a certificate, before an associate of applied science degree. So ranging up to $40-something thousand. As soon as you get that associate's degrees, bam, salary jumps back up. And then the bachelor's degree, another step up there. So very nice career path. Just starting off with, again, as we've mentioned, those certificates, continuing to work and study at the same time, a very nice career path into very, very nice future kind of financial security for you there. And I think I've got one more slide. There you go. So this was, and folks have mentioned this too, there's various fields that fall under this accounting category. This is just a few that Burning Glass was showing. Tax preparers, they said food service supervisors. I guess folks have to do accounting. I'll have to talk to the professors about that. We've got receptionists, accounting, bookkeepers, and so on. But again, I would like you to see that column with the little green arrows in it. Every single one of these projected job growth is fantastic. So me as a dean, if somebody came to me and said, we don't have an accounting program, I'd like to start an accounting program, I would look at this and go, oh my goodness, we need to do this. This is great. This is a fantastic opportunity for students. This is a career with a future. So you guys are in the right spot for exploring this. You've got some amazing faculty and folks coming around you. I'm excited. I just want to go back out and get an accounting degree. I'm a math major. I'm like, well, gosh, this might be fun to actually put it to some practical use. So you're in a really good spot. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time with our team. I'm sure you're going to learn a lot of stuff. And as several folks have already said, we're here to help you. We believe in you. We believe this is a career with a future. We believe it's going to give you some wonderful skills and help you progress in life. So welcome aboard. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and plonk them in the chat there, and we will go ahead and answer as we can. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Christiane. You provided our students with so much information. And I do want to note one thing before I take time to introduce our keynote speaker. There was a lot of tax jobs available, and there is a shortage in the tax field. Our second keynote speaker will speak more to that, but that is a real area that students could pursue and quickly get a good job. So with that, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Liz Mason. Liz is a CPA. We met a long time ago through the Arizona Society of CPAs. We were both volunteering at Big Brothers Big Sisters, where we would play the game of life with the bigs and their littles. So Liz is a CPA. She's licensed in both Nevada and Arizona by day, and she's an adventurer by night. She graduated from the University of Nevada, Reno, summa cum laude, with a bachelor's degree with majors in accounting and finance. And she did that in 3 years. So why not? Liz subsequently attended Arizona State University, where she obtained her master's degree in information management to satisfy her continued curiosity for technology and innovation. Liz is the epitome of a serial entrepreneur, having launched 4 successful brands in accounting, tax, and HR. They're called High Rock Accounting, Rebel Rock Accounting, Tackle, and the Department Tax. Well, thank you for joining us, Liz.
Absolutely.
Why don't you take it away?
Yeah, thank you for that wonderful introduction. So I'd like to share with you guys a little bit about my history and the evolution of my career in hopes that I can inspire some of you to think about accounting a little bit differently than what people tend to present. Clearly, I am not the suited and booted white collar accountant that you normally see. I'm a lot more fun than that. I jump out of planes, I travel the world, I do nerdy things, I read comic books, and I watch Star Wars. And my son, who is 4 years old, refers to Star Trek as space boats and aliens and will continuously watch it with me as well. My point being, you don't have to be anything particular to be an accountant and be a successful accountant. Can you flip the slide, please? Thanks. So as Lynn mentioned, I'm the CEO and founder of multiple brands. And the reason I started those brands was a need in the industry. So I'm going to back up a little bit to how I got my start. I started in university at University of Nevada and was studying marketing, actually. I took a couple marketing classes and realized very quickly that I was not in tune with that world, and the touchy-feeliness of it didn't really align with my personality. And I took a hard left and went over to the accounting and finance departments and took a lot of classes there. I started interning with Grant Thornton because that's what I was told to do. You go to a big public accounting firm. That's the best career track. You get your CPA. You do the things that they tell you to do. And quite frankly, I was pretty miserable. So in my first year at Grant Thornton, I ended up building a little robot to automate a big piece of my job. I was a tax intern at that point, and a lot of what I had to do was take, and yes, this is going to date me a little bit. I look a lot younger than I am. But it was to take a shoebox full of paper information that the client gave us, copy it, not even scan it, copy it to another piece of paper, put that piece of paper together with a bunch of other pieces of paper and write references on it so people could follow it, and then take those summary references, which yes, I had to use a 10 key with the tape that I would rip off and tape into these paper-based work books. I would have to take those workbooks and then hand enter and key in the dollar amounts into the tax return software. Now, if you guys are shaking your head going, how, what? Yeah, agreed. It was absolutely terrible and a very paper-based manual process. Now, that whet my appetite for what can we do with technology. And so I built this little robot. I was 19 years old at the time, and I built this little robot that did OCR on the scanned tax documents, created a nice little workbook in Excel, and then referenced it back for me so I could print a fully referenced work paper package. I didn't have to handwrite anything or use my 10 key at all. And then I built a little link into our tax program where it would just dump all the information directly into the tax software so it would be in compliance. Now, this little robot was saving me about 80% of the time on most of the returns I was preparing, and my accuracy rate was much higher. So at the end of that tax season, I got called into the partner's office. Now you can imagine, 19 years old, first internship in accounting, preparing taxes. I hadn't even taken my official tax class yet. I was learning. It was very, very intimidating. And this woman, amazing woman, she takes off her glasses and she leans forward at the desk and looks me dead in the eye and goes, "Did you lie on your time cards?" And of course, me being like me, I take a step back. I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm not that type of person. I would never lie. I'm very ethical. Like, why do you think I would do that? And so she pulled up all the returns I had worked on and said, well, your time in this is so much less than anyone else has been able to do it in prior years. What are you doing? And so I thought I was going to get fired for building a robot and not doing this hand-based the way that you're supposed to. And I took a deep breath. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to tell her. And if I get fired, I get fired, but she should know. So I explained to her that, well, first I had conned the IT guy into giving me a second laptop so that I could play with this program, because laptops back then weren't very efficient. So I really needed to run the program on a separate computer to be able to do two things at once. But anyway, so I tell her that, and then I explain the robot that I built, and then she asked me to show her. So I show her the robot that I built. We ended up implementing that in 52 offices across the US for Grant Thornton. I was given a promotion to the National Tax Strategic Solutions Group, which was based here in Phoenix. At the time, I was living in Reno, Nevada. I moved to Phoenix sight unseen, excited about the opportunity to be in charge of, a small portion of the tax technology that we would use going forward. And I was part of the team that got to implement a paperless system across the country. And it was the best learning experience I could have had. Did I think when I started my accounting degree in the university that I would end up implementing a paperless tax technology workflow system? Absolutely not. That was not anything on the radar that I thought I would love or be interested in. And it launched this whole other area of my brain that said, how do we do things better? And that's something that all accountants have. I've found across the board when you talk to people that focus on accounting, that like dollars, that like accounting and finance, you know, things that balance, it works out. We also love efficiency. There's a very big common denominator. And as we heard from a few people earlier, speaking about creativity, about thinking about things in an entrepreneurial way, all of these skills sound very abstract, but when you boil it down to the fundamental essence of what that means, it means that we like order, and it means that we like efficiency, and we like things that work faster than they otherwise would have. And we like to make things better and help people. And all of these traits are things that accountants have in spades that many other professions lack. So me personally, I mean, that's my origin story. From there, I went through a few other large national, international accounting firms. I have my CPA license in 2 states by default because I worked in both of them. And I started an accounting firm. At some point about 7 years ago, I sat down and I decided I didn't like the way that public accounting firms were doing things. And I said, you know what, let me see if I can do this differently, and let me see if I can do this better. Now, as I said, technology is in the core of my being and something that I love, and was moving forward with the industry. Yet accountants don't adopt new technology at a rate that you would expect. They're kind of slow movers. They like to keep things, you know, that work well. It's order. It's orderly. It works. It's okay. Now, they don't understand always what potential is or what efficiency could happen with better technology. And I took this leap and said, I'm going to use the best technology out there, and I'm going to throw out the billable hour, which is traditionally how people price in our industry. And I said, okay, I'm throwing out the billable hour. How do I figure out how to price something and maintain profitability? Completely different business model from a normal accounting firm. And then on top of it, we're going to use all cutting edge cloud-based technology that most people 7 years ago were kind of like, what's the cloud? What does that mean? Is it secure? And we did it. We said, all right, we're going to throw out all the norms and do our own thing. And we did. And that was where High Rock Accounting was born. Now, I personally do a lot of things outside of just accounting. I run multiple entities. I've progressed, you know, past the day-to-day on the client work, but I run a team of close to 30 accountants at this point, and we're growing rapidly. So can you flip the slide, please? So hashtag CPA World Domination is definitely a hashtag that is associated with me. If you go search it on Twitter, you'll probably find a lot of different things that I've posted or that my firm has posted. Now, I spoke a little bit about High Rock Accounting, and I truly believe that accountants, CPAs, and you know, people who don't even have accounting degrees but function in our profession can take over the world. And I say that because we understand the universal language. We understand finance, and we understand money. And that's really fundamentally what keeps this world moving. And so at High Rock Accounting, we focus very heavily on bringing in people from all walks of life to focus on what they do best. Now, we started Rebel Rock Accounting right next to High Rock, utilizing technology with a different business model, focusing 100% on cannabis businesses, which most accountants won't touch because it's still federally illegal. So there's a lot of gray area there on what is good and what you can do and what you can't do. However, the AICPA, who we take very heavily what they say, has come out and said, you know, accounting firms can service this industry ethically. They support it. We also started the tax department, and the tax department was born out of this need for more outsourced tax solutions. So when you start looking across the board, we have very many cloud accounting firms or wealth managers or finance professionals that are advising clients, but they don't have the tax expertise, and that is such a specialized area. If you go into tax, you're very highly coveted, as you saw on the employment statistic before, but also you have a skill set that can help businesses grow and fundamentally make good decisions moving forward. And so the tax department was born out of a need to be able to supply other accounting firms and collaboratively work across our profession to provide better taxes to our clients. And Tackle is HR. We were outsourcing payroll and running payroll for companies, yet we didn't have the HR expertise to know, do we have to register in this new state? What are the rules on termination checks? Is this person paying their team correctly or legally even in some cases? And that's different in every state. And so Tackle was born out of that HR need. And truly, yes, I am an accountant and I am the CEO and founder of Tackle, and I run a team of HR professionals. I don't know HR very well at all, but the skills that I learned through accounting gave me the entrepreneurial ability to do that. And then my love child is Nucleus. This is the core essence of what I believe will come next in the industry. And in Nucleus, we are bringing in accountants to seed baby CAS firms, as I call them, or client accounting services firms. So people doing outsourced accounting like I do, we're seeding their firms and we're giving them branding and we're helping them with marketing and we're giving them all the back office support they need. And we're also working with retiring accountants. There's a huge issue in our industry, and probably partially why there's so much demand right now, because the average age of accountants is upward of 50 years old, which means that a lot of firms are going to retire and leave clients in the midst. And these legacy firms that are aging out and deciding to move on with their lives into, you know, their retirement life have two fundamental options to exit their firm. They either hire a manager early enough and train them up to take it over, and the manager buys them out and becomes a partner and they retire gracefully, or they sell the book outright. And when they're selling the book outright, they're getting about 70 cents on the dollar. Now there's a talent shortage. So all of you have a huge opportunity to go into these legacy firms and add in some technology and learn all your way up until you can take over the firm. But there aren't enough people that are willing to do that because they're frustrated by the paper-based processes that are still happening in the year 2020. And it's very, very prevalent. And so in Nucleus Legacy, we're giving them a 20-year retirement and a path to age out and give us their book of business as we pay them out with residuals as well. And the reason I bring up all of these brands is to prove the point that I am a CPA, I am an accountant, and I am an entrepreneur. And I can do all of these things successfully, and it's a lot of fun. Next slide, please. So one of the things that I prescribe to very heavily is the choose your own adventure, or the create your own adventure mentality. Now, when I say this, I want people to envision a Venn diagram. So on one side, you have what are you super passionate about? What do you care about? And that could be an industry. That could be a type of business you want to work in. That could be something completely out of the left field, whatever it is that you're super passionate about. And then also look at what are you excellent at? What are the things that you do or think about better or differently than anyone else around you? Now in that Venn diagram, where do those things overlap? And that middle section is where you should be focusing, and that should be your adventure. And think through this on a regular basis. And you don't have to know all the answers on day one. You know, you might enter a company and be a bookkeeper and work and think that you want to work your way up, but you get in 2 years and go, you know what, I'm not passionate about this anymore. I'm actually really passionate about this other part of the business. Like maybe it's sales, or maybe it's HR, or maybe it's just that you want to be operationally in control of the business. How do you get to that path? So choose your own adventure. You're starting with fundamentally the best degree you can get from a business perspective to give you an understanding to the entirety of the business. Like I said earlier, we speak the international language of business. We speak accounting and we speak money. And that means that we have an edge up on anyone else. And you can truly choose and build your own adventure inside of this career. Next slide, please. So I jotted down some ideas of what careers are in accounting. And I think, you know, a lot of these you've probably seen before, but some of the things that aren't focused on heavily are this idea of a cloud accountant. Now, a cloud accountant is a virtual accountant, and that's what my firm does. We're cloud accountants. We do everything from bookkeeping to CFO advisory. We have the tax department behind us supporting the tax compliance as well as advisory with our clients as well. And we do it from anywhere in the world, and we can do that through the technology that we use. And there's a growing subset of accounting firms that are doing this more and more. It's no longer the days where you're shackled to a desk in an office. My team can work from anywhere in the world, and they frequently do. Well, before, you know, when we could actually travel legally and enter these other places. I personally spent 2 months working from bullet trains in Japan because they had the best Wi-Fi I could find. And quite frankly, nobody noticed because I was working normal business hours for what, you know, my clients were, and being responsive and getting all the work done because I could access it from anywhere. Of course, you have to consider cybersecurity, making sure you have strong VPNs and that you're utilizing all of the protective measures, but you can do accounting from anywhere. It's no longer tied to servers or tied to an office. There are so many options and there are so many amazing ways to go that I truly implore all of you to follow your passions and think about what you're excellent at and build and choose your own adventure inside of the career. And so I'd love any questions that come for the last, I think, minute or two.
Students, if you have a question, put them in the chat window or the Q&A box, and I will read them off so that Liz can answer the questions. No questions? I'm sure someone, and I know there are people from my class, maybe if my students ask a question, I'll give you an extra credit point or two.
I'm sure someone has questions. Well, if you want to click to the next slide, if you guys think of questions later, you can absolutely contact me. The easiest way, honestly, is to find me on Twitter and direct message me because my inbox is filled with spam, unfortunately. But
we do have a question. Do you offer internship for students in your businesses?
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. We currently have, I think, one intern from PVCC, and then, you know, we have ongoing and timed internships. So we'll probably have another intern start for January or February for busy season, and then again in the summer.
Did you have a mentor?
I've had many mentors through my life, to be honest. And quite frankly, if you find someone that understands you as an individual and understands where you want to go in your career, thoughts and hopes and dreams, hold on to them and ask them for advice and ask them what you can do to further that direction. The only thing I can say is be careful with mentors, not to find someone that's not going to impose their own views on what you should be doing. You should be mentored into the direction you want to be mentored in.
Absolutely. What job qualifications are you requiring at your different companies, Liz?
We don't have any, actually. We hire people that are intelligent and motivated. And if you meet those two things, we'll train you.
Awesome. What's your Twitter handle?
It's @LizzieNorma, and it's on the next slide as well.
Okay. This is a second career for me. I am finding it hard to get an entry-level position just to gain experience. I have a certificate and working towards an associate's. What do you recommend?
I recommend finding different firms that you connect with. So you don't necessarily have to apply to all the baseline accounting firms that have open positions. Find firms that you connect with, that you believe in their mission, and reach out to them individually. Follow them on social media. I would say a lot of firms are focusing on recruiting on social media. Join some of the accountant groups. There are some great ones on Facebook and some great ones on LinkedIn that you can join as a student and get to know the people that are active in those groups, and just speak out and make yourself known as a different person, and, you know, ask if people have extra work that they can bring to you.
Oh, awesome. That's all the questions we have.
Fantastic.
So Liz, thank you so much for being a part of our celebration. We appreciate all your advice for our students. I'm sure they learned a great deal.
I hope so. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, guys, reach out if you think of questions later. I am always open to helping students and pushing people in the right direction, or connecting if I know anyone that could be of help.
Great. Thank you. Right now it's time for our first break. So we will take a brief break until 6:10. Okay. So that's about 10 minutes. And then we will begin with our second keynote speaker.
Actually, Lynn, I'm sorry. We're going to take a 5-minute break and then we'll start at 6:05. Our next guest speaker is here. And so we will be starting at 6:05. So 5-minute break, please. All right, everyone, 1 minute warning, and we'll be back in exactly 60 seconds. All right, we are now back, and hope everybody had a chance to get up, stretch up, and now we're back. We're very excited to have our next speaker, Erin Bloch from Bloch Company, and Erin is CPA and EA, and Erin is going to tell you all about it. Erin is a second-generation accountant. He's followed by his father's stepfoots. He graduated from ASU. It was just the first step in continuing pursuing an excellence in accounting. Since then, he completed several certifications in accounting professions and organizations. He's very giving back to the community and enjoy raising his family in Phoenix. Erin, in his free time, likes to do the photography as well as coaching and playing and refereeing soccer. Erin, welcome.
Thank you very, very much. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very excited to speak with all of you. I'd love to, of course, be in front of all of you. I very much enjoyed the last speaker. I hope you guys did too. The very first presentation that I gave for Lily was one related to finding your path in the accounting industry, very much akin to what she was saying related to how to move yourself into a portion of the accounting industry that best suits your personality. And there are lots of different personalities in this field. Today, I'm going to be here representing the National Association of Enrolled Agents, which is a tax-focused, the tax-focused part of the field. And it is different than being a CPA for a couple reasons, and I'm going to get into that. I know we had one question already about what does it take to become a CPA, and we're going to be kind of comparing and contrasting that. So like Lily said, a little bit about me. I'm 41 years old. I've been running an accounting firm since I was 27 years old. I knew that small firm life was better for me than big firm life. As the prior speaker said, she went to Grant Thornton, which was a very large firm. Other large firms like Ernst & Young and PricewaterhouseCoopers, those aren't really a place, weren't a good match for me. I had been working in my father's accounting firm since I was 13 years old. I started working there, collating tax returns, putting tax returns together for final presentation to a client, you know, basically putting staples in paper clips. And moved on from there. And while I was at ASU, I did some bookkeeping style work, worked in industry for a little while. Industry accounting is not for me. The function of being in a small tax firm means that every day is very different. Every day you're going to have different questions. Every day you're going to have different situations. You're going to have clients that call you that you celebrate births with, and clients that call you who just lost a loved one, and everything in between. It's a very high touch, high interpersonal field is to be in the tax preparation field. So let's talk about how to go ahead and do that. So let's go to the first slide. So first of all, there are basically the basic function of being a tax return preparer is that there are no licenses. There's no legal requirements. Any single one of you 36 wonderful people who have remained on this as attendees to hear me talk can be a tax return preparer next tax season. It is the only financial industry in which there is no licensing requirements. And that's both great from one standpoint, that the barrier to entry is very low, but it's also pretty dang scary if you ask me, because you are assisting people, giving advice that affects them financially. And having a license is a very important thing to have. And enrolled agents are one part of the licensed tax professional community. So there are 3 licensed tax professionals: lawyers or attorneys, certified public accountants, and enrolled agents. Now, we know that what attorneys are, those aren't people who generally go through accounting programs. They do law stuff. They don't generally do tax return preparation work. CPAs, most commonly known, I received my CPA, in 2010. I went and got my CPA because it is the most recognized credential, and there's somewhere around 600,000 CPAs in the United States. Most of those CPAs, however, do not focus on income taxation. Then the third piece is enrolled agents, and enrolled agents are, again, licensed tax professionals, and their focus is solely on taxation. They only do tax. So enrolled agents are actually the only federally licensed tax professionals who specialize in taxation and have unlimited rights to represent taxpayers before the IRS. CPAs can represent before the IRS, as attorneys can as well, but the EA license is a federal license, meaning it's the most portable. If you want to get your enrolled agent licensure while you're here in Arizona, you can go ahead and move anywhere else, and you don't have to worry about a licensing issue. My license as a CPA here is in Arizona. If I decide I want to move to, I don't know, Kentucky, God knows why, but Kentucky, they got good bourbon there. If I want to move to Kentucky, I have to go through a whole new licensing regimen in Kentucky, which generally means I have to get letters of good standing from Arizona, and I have to be able to show that I passed the exam, and I have to show that I took the right courses. So the portability of an EA is vastly better than that of a CPA. Now let's also talk about what does it take we'll talk a little bit about what it takes to become an EA as we go along here. So let's go ahead into the next slide. What's special about enrolled agents? Again, unlike attorneys and CPAs who may or may not specialize in taxation, when you see an EA, when you meet with an enrolled agent, you know that their specialty is taxation. And that's kind of similar. You guys maybe you've been to a doctor, right? You have folks who are general practitioners. You have folks that are surgeons. Then you have folks that are brain surgeons. Then you have folks who are oncological brain surgeons. So it's how far deep do you understand that a specialty exists? Enrolled agents, again, are the only taxpayer representatives who are federally licensed as opposed to being licensed by a state. We're subject to certain ethical requirements under the law as well, and we're overseen and licensed on a federal level. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. What does an enrolled agent's training look like? So an enrolled agent is required to pass a 3-part exam on the tax code. So you have one section that covers individuals and estates and trusts, another that covers S corporations, C corporations, partnerships, and you have another section that covers ethics and practice before the IRS. It's a 3-part exam. It's given by Prometric, the exact same place that a CPA takes their exam as well. Here is the big thing, and this is why an EA licensure is really fantastic for folks who are coming or starting their higher education in college, and at a community college. And I know that we had somebody comment earlier that this is a second career, possibly a second career option as well. I have a lot of colleagues who are enrolled agents where this was a second career. Now I'm here promoting that being an EA can be a first career because it was a first career for me. It was the first licensure that I got. I always listed first in my name, Aaron Blau, EA, CPA. And it's all I really need to do the job that I do. I only got the CPA because it's a recognizable credential as well. But people like me are out pounding the pavement to make the EA credential more recognizable. We just need some more numbers. We need more of you to become enrolled agents and teach people about what enrolled agents are, because there's only about 60,000 of us nationwide compared to CPAs, which are what I said earlier, 600,000. No degree is required for an enrolled agent. So that means if you go through the enrolled agent training program through PVCC, through Rio Salado, through Mesa Community College, through whichever program you decide to go through, you can take each of your 3 parts, and this is how we as enrolled agents have recommended to Maricopa Community College District, is that once you're done with your classes, you take the part of the exam that corresponds to the class. And before you even have your AA, you can get your EA, okay? Enrolled agents, from a licensing standpoint, are required to pass this exam, and then you have to maintain your continuing education requirements, 72 hours of continuing education every 3 years. This is specific continuing education. It must be by a licensed continuing education provider. What's the difference between an EA and a CPA related to continuing education? CPAs have to have 80 hours every 3 years, or I'm sorry, 80 hours every 2 years. EAs have to have 72 hours every 3 years. CPAs can have a vast variety of different types of continuing education. EAs must be taxation focused only. And you must have 2 hours of ethics every year as well. Go ahead and let's go to the next slide. What's the market look like for enrolled agents? Well, we have 2 things here, and then one other one that I wouldn't put in writing, but you can quote me on it. First of all, IRS examinations are a huge part of the enrolled agent market. If you're up late at night studying for a class, you will undoubtedly see an ad that talks about collection issues and that our team of enrolled agents will help you. Well, these are enrolled agents who are here to help in examination issues and collection issues. And as the government has to look for more and more revenue, what they're looking to do is try to crack down on offenders. And they're using better technology to scan and figure out which tax returns and what kind of taxpayers are the most at risk for material misstatements like understating income and overstating expenses. So there's a growing need for representation. People do their own tax returns, and they do things, unfortunately, sometimes they do it incorrectly. And they need qualified representatives to be able to walk them through how to get them out of trouble, or how to find good resolutions that aren't going to cause them to go into bankruptcy, or that are going to be able to get the IRS off of their back for a certain period of time. I met with a client earlier today. They owe $150,000 to the IRS right now. We're able to get them into a reasonable payment plan that they can pay, but they did have to jump through some hoops to do it. And it would have been very difficult for them to do it on their own without having somebody like me to be able to explain the process to them, to be the go-between between them and a revenue officer. And this revenue officer was asking real questions. He said, hey, I want you to try to refinance your house. I want you to go to 3 brokers and show me. Well, the way that he asks it sounds very accusatory, but when I'm translating it to my taxpayer, they understand what the questions are. We can go to the next slide. Enrolled agents are recession-proof. In a down economy, enrolled agents are actually even more needed, because people get themselves into tax trouble pulling money out of retirement accounts and not being able to pay the taxes on it. It's a year-round profession. It can be a year-round profession. So tax professionals can work just tax season, or if you do representation and accounting in addition. My firm is a year-round firm because we do representation and we help clients with accounting. So we're year-round, contrary to popular belief. The salaries are very competitive. Enrolled agents, the average salary is about $81,000 a year for an experienced enrolled agent. The starting salary for any one of you wonderful 36 people who are hanging on, the starting salary is generally going to be somewhere between $36,000 and $45,000. Why? Because as an EA, even though you may not even have your associates, you've already demonstrated minimum competency in the industry. You took the step to take the exams, and we don't have to test your knowledge because the IRS already did. They've tested the knowledge and found you not wanting. And that's fantastic. If you can come to me as an enrolled agent and say, hey, this is my first tax season, but look, I've already passed the exam. That's fantastic. Now I can train you on the processes on how to prepare good tax returns and give good advice, because I already know you have the base of knowledge to enter the industry. Go ahead. Being an EA ultimately offers you a ton of career freedom. The exam is tough. It can be tough, especially the part 2, but the wall is not as high as being a CPA. It doesn't require a degree. It doesn't require any apprenticeship. There's no roadblocks. It's just you, your knowledge, the books, and the test, and you can make your way through. You can seek employment from existing firms like mine, or you can start your own practice. Now, I don't recommend that, not because I don't want you to compete with me. That's not it. This is really hard when I don't have anybody to laugh at my jokes, but you know, I appreciate you hanging in.
I'm laughing.
You can start your own practice. And if you're self-employed, you got freedom over your fees, you got freedom over your hours, you got freedom over your choice of clients. You can start small, doing $100 tax returns and build a practice. You can work just 2 hours a day if you wanted to. If you're self-employed, you can pretty much do whatever you want because you've already demonstrated competency. You can go to the next slide. I'm going to see where I'm going to. Okay, so we have a lot of recommendations, and this slide deck was prepared a couple of years ago before the community college district found its way into really wanting to have an EA program as part of their career and technical education programs. Yeah, go ahead. You can go ahead and skip this one. That's good. And you can skip that one. All right. We have about 360 enrolled agents in the Valley here. Most of our enrolled agents, most of our membership works in either very small firms or works as solos. And absolutely, if this is a career path that you're looking to go down, if you are interested in internships, please let Lily know. Please, let your teachers know, especially Lynn. Lynn is one of our enrolled agents as well. Please, please, please reach out to your teachers and they will let me know. And I will try to find somebody that's either lives or that works or has an office somewhere close to where you live, somewhere close to where your school is. Absolutely will do whatever I can to get you into an office so that you can see what being an enrolled agent actually looks like and see how much fun a tax season can actually be. I mean, it can be utter chaos, but you know what? Chaos is a good time too. We definitely want to have you to be able to continue on as an enrolled agent and support you in a future career. That is pretty much where I'm at for my, I'm at right at 20 minutes. I have some time for questions from you guys. I can give you some examples of where you can go from here in order to find some success within the tax industry as well. Some of the big things for me is that this is a real personality-driven industry as a tax industry. You do have to have the ability to talk and explain complicated things to people who don't have your level of knowledge. So being able to take a complicated thing like a question like, can I just started a business, does that mean I can write off my car? I mean, that's like top 5 in the questions that I ask. And be able to explain how these things work and how these, what the record keeping requirements are. And then make recommendations is huge. And it's very important to be able to do this in both a written form and the spoken form, because people will hear you, but they also tend to hear what they want to hear. So having the ability to have good written communication to explain these things is hugely, hugely important. And it's a very important skill I want to make sure that you know and understand. I definitely encourage any teachers who are here as panelists or attendees to have writing prompts as part of your curriculum for any of these things, you know, where you have a question that could be, hey, my cousin went away to jail and I'm taking care of their kids. Does that mean I get to take them as a dependent? And being able to have a written response of how somebody can qualify as a dependent via the tax rules. These are very good things. Vincente, thank you for your question. Did you have a mentor throughout your career? Very similar to what you've had, the question that we had before. Yeah, my father was my original mentor. As I said, I've been involved in this industry since I was 13 years old. My dad would traipse me in as a teenager to see his clients. And I got to see the relationship that he had developed with these clients and the importance and the esteem in which my father was held in these folks' mind. And I really enjoyed that. I had a great conversation with a guy who's probably been a client of our firm for 30, 40 years yesterday. And he said, boy, you know, you don't know what kind of a weight you just took off my shoulders. So here we have this thought that what we're doing is providing numbers and answers, but really what we're doing as good accountants is we're providing comfort. We're providing certainty. My mission statement for my firm is that we provide our clients and community. We empower our clients and community to participate in a confident financial future. My goal isn't to provide somebody the lowest tax bill possible. I want to build confidence in their decision-making, that they know that they're making good financial decisions for long-term, not just trying to make a decision about how can I get the best refund this year. That's not it. That's not what I do. I want to provide confidence. When first starting my career, what was the biggest obstacle? Claudia, thank you for your question. Very similar to the prior speaker. Stagnation is really the enemy of our industry. And the problem that I came into was I was a young person coming into a mature tax firm with somebody who had been doing it much longer than I had. And I wanted to use computers and I wanted to use technology and I wanted to make things more. What word did she use before? Efficient. I wanted to be efficient. And instead I had a supervisor who said that if I wasn't actively doing a spreadsheet, I had to close my laptop because obviously I was just screwing around on the internet. Now this was the days pre-Netflix and pre-Spotify and everything else. And to be honest with you, I probably was screwing around a little bit too. But the reality is that this is an industry that is run by folks who are your grandparents. And for some of you, maybe your great-grandparents. So you have to know how to be able to communicate and say, hey, look, I know a technology that can make this faster. They can make it more efficient. They can make it more profitable. They can make things easier. Because as accountants are inherently conservative people. We don't like change. And change is the only way to move forward for some people, but change is the scariest possible thing for other people. So being able to bridge that gap, that's your job as a young, new professional entering a career.
Thank you so much, Aaron. We do have a couple more questions in the chat. The first one is, do you have to be an American citizen to be an enrolled agent?
You know what? It's a fantastic question. The answer is no, you don't. You do have to have a tax ID. There's actually enrolled agents. There's actually a whole bunch of enrolled agents in India, in the Philippines. There's a group of enrolled agents in Japan as well. Now, their path is a little bit different because you do have to have a tax ID, a US tax ID, so you have to get some things going on. As an enrolled agent, you actually have to put in your thumbprints and things like that as part of your application. So there are a few more hoops to jump through, but you do not have to be a US citizen. Odie asked a question, said, do you know if there's a fee for taking the enrolled agent exam? There is. There is in fact a fee to take the EA exam. It is, I think it's $124 per part. So it's 3 parts. It's somewhere around $124. One of the neat things though is that if you take the exam and you don't pass it, you can immediately schedule to take it again. And if you can get a spot, you can take it again the next week. If you fail it though 4 times in a year, you have to wait for the next year before you take it again. Thank you, Odie, for your question. Excellent.
And there's one more question, and the question is from Seth. He's asking, what are the skills you need to become a successful accountant?
Seth, a couple of the skills that I would highly recommend to become a successful accountant is the ability to communicate. So if you're not a great communicator, if you're not a great spoken word guy or gal, practice. Look up common questions and practice explaining these things to the mirror in a way that you think the mirror can understand. Okay? If the mirror can understand it, you're doing it right. All right? Also, the ability to silence yourself is a very important skill, because sometimes people just want to be heard. We have so many times where we just jump to the answer. We will jump to the answer. I know that. Let me show you how smart I am. I have the answer.